You ready for some football? Let's go. So, today we're going to talk about the 2022 season for the Cowboys. I know I had talked about this before, but I wanted to condense it this time than I did last time. So, and again, I'm in the same room that I was in last time because, I just can't make any videos in my room, at the moment. I got too much space. Nonetheless, so we're going to talk about the 2022 season for the Cowboys. So, a lot of you know me for being a reaction, YouTuber. Some of you might have remembered me all the way back to when I used to be called NFL Thoughts, where I made my thoughts on the NFL. And I kind of want to get back to that because, I want to expand my horizon and expand my content. I don't want to be that one guy who just does reaction videos, am I right? Anyway, by the way, if you haven't seen my video on Marvin Starvin Harrison Jr., go check it out. I will leave it I'll leave a link to it in the description box below. Because I thought, in my opinion, that was pretty cool. I edited my first video and, I thought it was pretty cool, being able to edit my first video, condense it. And I was also able to, implement some music into it as well. So, if you haven't seen it, I will leave the link in the description box down below. Nonetheless, let's get into it. So, basically, let's start off with week one. Week one, so we had a string of games last year where for some reason we were losing to teams that we had no business losing to. And the Buccaneers game week one was one of those type of games. I felt like we were the better football team than they were. Despite us not having our receivers and despite having a rookie tackle play in replacement of Tyron Smith because he was hurt at the time, I still felt like we had a better football team than they did because they were derailed at offensive line. Also, by the way, if there's a chance that you might be hearing fireworks in the background, well, popping noises, that's fireworks that are currently, might be going off, occasionally while I'm making this video. Happy 4th of July, everyone. Anyway, so, yeah, their offensive line was derailed. They lost Alex Kappa to free agency. Ryan Jensen tore his ACL during training camp. And Tristan Wirfs was also injured. So they had a derailed offensive line. So I felt like, we were a better football team than they were. Especially our defense against their offense, we definitely should have had a shot. And it just didn't happen. Dak Prescott was making bad decisions. I have to admit, he stunk up the place, not gonna lie. He did not play well. But also, what do you want to know what also didn't play well? Our coaching. Kellen Moore, the beginning of that game, we started off on our opening drive. We were doing balance. Run, pass, run, pass. That's what we were doing to start that game. We were doing run, pass, balanced play selection. And for some abrupt reason, near the end of that drive, he just got away from it. And we passed on first down, incomplete. Then we passed on second down, Dak got sacked. Then we passed on third down, incomplete. We got to kick a field goal. So that's what happened on that drive, when it could have easily been a touchdown scoring drive. Or let's say we don't kick, let's say we still don't score a touchdown. You at least keep the drive going and you take more time off the clock and you leave the GOAT on the sideline. We didn't do that. And so that game basically went about as humiliating as possible. It was terrible. Dak went out, near the end of that game with a fractured thumb. And it was just bad. It was terrible. Pathetic. And look, don't take this the wrong way, by the way. I love Dak Prescott. But Cooper Rush becoming our quarterback might have been the best thing that happened to us. And I say that, I'm going to bring it back to reality for you. It forced Kellen Moore to have to run the football. It forced him to have to run the football. He wasn't finna do that same bull crap that he was once doing, with Dak Prescott. No, he knew with the backup quarterback, I got to keep the ball out of his hand as much as possible. So we're going to run it. And we ran well. We ran the ball extremely well. And, even after the loss to Philadelphia, again, our running game did well. And it appeared in Kellen Moore's mind that, hey, I got to start doing this all the time, not just when Cooper Rush is in here. When Dak comes back, I'm going to still do this same running the ball philosophy. And we went back to doing it. And it worked. And unfortunately, Kellen Moore had his fair share of times where, unfortunately, he would get away from it. And it happened in games that we just happened to lose. So let's start off with the first one. It was the game against the Green Bay Packers. And, we ran the ball well. Our final stat line for that game was 159 total yards rushing. And it could have been more. It's funny to say that because Kellen Moore. It could have been more. Because it could have been 259 yards rushing. But no. When we had a 14-point lead, we were up 28-14 in the fourth quarter. Kellen Moore decided to get away from the running game for some abrupt reason. 14-point leads are crucial and are a pretty big deal pending the circumstances. If you're up 14-0 and you get a fast start on your opponent scoring on your first two drives and you're up 14-0, then that's not really nothing. You still got a whole 45 minutes or 3/4 left to be played. But there's just a different, when you're up by 14 points in the fourth quarter, especially with the pass rush that we had, I will still say that we had a better pass rush than the Philadelphia Eagles. You can look at the stats the way you want and look at the fact that the Eagles had more sacks than we did, but I'm pretty sure we had more pressures. and I'll take our pass rush over their pass rush any day. We would have hit Patrick Mahomes at least once if we were playing him. At least we would have touched Patrick Mahomes if we were playing him. Nonetheless, it didn't happen. And, I'm just saying, I would take our pass rush over their pass rush any day. But amazingly, it really wasn't there in that fourth quarter against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. I mean, they were just tearing us up. More importantly, that rookie Christian Watson. And that was really the big X factor for that game. So, unfortunately it happened, and, we actually got the ball back before the end of regulation. It was late in the fourth quarter, I know that. And, basically I was sitting there thinking to myself, okay, we can right the wrong that we've made by driving down this football field and getting into field goal range, kicking a field goal, and winning this game at the end, and we can get out of here with a victory. Well, that's not what happened. Dak Prescott, unfortunately, we went 3 and out, and, we try to fade to Noah Brown down the field, and it was, surprise, incomplete. And, the Packers got the ball back before the end of regulation, for themselves. And fortunately, the defense did stop them. That happened to be the only time from when we were up 28-14 all the way up to overtime, the overtime period. That was the only time that we got a stop on the Packers offense. I know, I couldn't believe it either. Nonetheless, the game goes into OT, and we won the coin toss. And here's the thing about winning the coin toss. It puts all the pressure on you to have to drive all the way down the field and score a touchdown and win the game. Because if you don't, you're giving the other team an opportunity to answer. So I've always, believe it or not, I actually like getting the ball second than getting the ball first in overtime. Because if you stop them defensively, all you need is a field goal to win. So unfortunately, that's not what happened for us. We did drive down the field, and, we were running the football. Kellen Moore finally got back to running it, and surprise, surprise, our offense was methodically driving down the field. Who knew? We got down there, and Malik Davis had a 20-yard carry, I want to say, got us down to the 15. And I'm thinking, okay, we're in point blank scoring range. But then there's a flag. The referees throw a flag for holding on Connor McGovern. And I gotta tell you, I've never seen a more softer holding call in my life. They called a holding penalty on Connor McGovern, but when you look at it, he really didn't hold the defender. It just happened to be that his hands were outside of the defender, and it looked a little suspect, and the referees decided to throw the flag. And that's the flag that they did throw. Yeah, the one that they did throw. Because I want to talk about 3rd and 5, ladies and gentlemen. Because on 3rd and 5, Dak Prescott throws a slant over the middle to CeeDee Lamb. Number 1 receiver, we're going to treat you like a number 1 receiver. You are the guy that we're going to go through in big key situations. and it was incomplete. And I'm like, oh, man. But then CeeDee Lamb puts his hands up like there should have been a flag for pass interference. I didn't see it initially because it was real time. And in real time speed, it's hard to really pick that up. But when you look at the instant replay, excuse me, when you look at the instant replay, and they slow it down a bit, it was clear as day that Jair Alexander made contact with CeeDee Lamb before that ball got there. And the referees didn't throw the flag. So it was 4th and 5, and Mike McCarthy decides to make the decision to go for it. And I kind of scratched my head a little bit on that one. But knowing Mike McCarthy and knowing that he's going up against his old team and he's trying to stick it to him, I wasn't surprised that he made that call. I didn't hate the decision to go for it. I just felt, in my opinion, that you kick the field goal and you put the pressure on your opposing team to have to score a touchdown to beat you, rather than now you put them in a situation where all they have to do is, kick a field goal. That's just how I felt. But what can you do? They actually asked CeeDee Lamb about that controversy about the whole Jair Alexander situation on that 3rd down. And he said it was PI. There's no question about it that he made contact with me before that ball got there. But, the referees aren't going to call it. We're the Cowboys, so, they're not going to call that. Those were his exact words. That's exactly what he said. And he basically hit the nail right on the head on that one. They're not going to call that. So basically we responded by dominating the Minnesota Vikings 40-3. And, we cruised on. We defeated the Giants in a game that it started off slow for us, but we took care of business in the second half, and we won that game on Thanksgiving. And then a game that might have been even weirder against the Indianapolis Colts, where it was a nail-biting 21-19 game that out of nowhere just turned into a 54-19 blowout in the end after we scored 33 fourth quarter points. It was a party, and yeah, just crazy. So then after that, we barely beat Houston, and then we played Jacksonville. We thought that we were sitting pretty, looking like we might catch up to Philadelphia in the NFC East standings. And then we played Jacksonville. That game, we started off hot. We had a 17-point lead. We were up 27-10. I'm thinking we got this game. And, Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence throws a touchdown pass, and that cuts the deficit to 10. Dak Prescott, unfortunately, throws an interception on our next drive deep in our own end. They score another touchdown to make it 27-24. And then we had a 3-and-out after that. And they drive down the field and they score another touchdown. They're up by 4, 31-27. And so now our backs are against the wall. And number 4 is better than anybody at being able to respond when our backs are against the wall. So we drove down the field and, with ease, he just... And then he throws the touchdown pass to Noah Brown, that gave us a 3-point lead. Jacksonville gets the ball. They're driving a little bit down the field. And then Trevor Lawrence takes off and runs. And, we helicopter spin him in the air. And he fumbles the ball and we recover it. I'm thinking, yes, we got it. We got this game. All right? Woo! We survived. But then we get the ball, we run on first and second down, and then we decide to pass on third down. And, we, threw a fade down the field to Noah Brown, just like we did against Green Bay, the same thing you did against Green Bay, you'd think we would have learned. And it would technically eventually cost us the game again. In the end, as far as the end result. So they end up getting the ball back after that with the timeout because we passed and had that incomplete pass, so we saved a timeout for them. And they drove and kicked a field goal to put it into overtime. Now, they actually won the coin toss, and this is what I like. We stopped them on defense. And we get the ball on offense, and we drove the ball down the field a little bit. And if it wasn't for Clifford Franklin, if it wasn't for Noah Brown and having feet for hands, maybe the outcome of that game would have been a little bit different. But it wasn't. So after that, we proceeded to win our next 2 games, including one against Philadelphia. And I know they had their backup quarterback, but when y'all beat us, we had our backup quarterback, so it doesn't really make a difference. They're equally wins at the end of the day. Y'all beat us last time, we beat you the second time. So then we clinched back-to-back 12-win seasons after defeating Tennessee, which is the first time we've done that since the 90s. And we lost to Washington in the regular season finale, but that didn't really matter. Then we faced Tampa Bay in the wild card round, and I'm thinking to myself, this might be our last chance to beat Tom Brady. And what better than in the playoffs, win or go home, let's get it. We went out there, and it started off like as if it was going to be a defensive slugfest, because both offenses went 3 and out. But then we got the ball on our second possession, and on third down, Dak Prescott completes a comeback route to Michael Gallup. And that gets us the first down. And really, from that point forward, then things started to click. We started to get a rhythm going. And we would later score a touchdown after that. And then a missed extra point. Basically, Brett Maher missed every single extra point after we scored a touchdown, except for the last one. We won that game 31-6. No, 31-14. And we were advancing to the divisional round. It wasn't quite 62-7 like the Jaguars did to retire Dan Marino, but it's Tom Brady. 31-14, we'll take it. So we're on to Santa Clara to face the 49ers. This is the team that we lost to the year before. And losing it, the game ending in the most bizarre way possible. Like, we somehow, some way managed to lose games in the most weirdest ways possible. Nonetheless, this time, we didn't lose the game in a bizarre fashion. They just physically dominated our offense. Like, Dak Prescott wasn't making good decisions, and Tony Pollard got hurt, and that kind of just, sucked the life out of our offensive game plan, at least for Kellen Moore, because that dude didn't know what to do after Tony Pollard got hurt. So, it is what it is. We lost. Technically, this time compared to the year before, they were the better team than us. Even though we had a chance to win, but we just didn't cash it in. So that's how our season ended. Divisional round, still can't get past the divisional round. I'm hoping that things will be different this year. We made a couple key additions. We traded for Stephon Gilmore to assure our cornerback 2 situation. Take a little bit of pressure off of Trayvon Diggs. Or at least make them stop attacking that other side of the field. Trayvon Diggs might get some opportunities to get some picks this year. So, and then we addressed another problem, which was wide receiver 2. We traded for Brandon Cooks. Now, maybe in all honesty, maybe we didn't truly have to do that because Michael Gallup was going to be healthier than he was last year. But it doesn't hurt to have some extra weaponry. And then we drafted Luke Schoonmaker in the draft and Deuce Vaughn, so that's going to give us some offensive weaponry as well. I'm calling it right now. I think Luke Schoonmaker is going to be the starting tight end for us this year. I don't know when, but I think he might be the starting tight end for us at some point in this 2023 season. So, hey, only have optimism as a Cowboys fan for what 2023 will be for us. That has been my time. Like, subscribe, and